Quick, graph y equals -6 divided by x by hand 2 different ways. This is part of the family of functions series. You will need graph paper, or you can download this PDF and print it. Press pause as needed anytime during this video. First way, we need to decide what the parent function is and its shape. So this is y equals 1 over x, the reciprocal function. Its shape is a hyperbola, and this is what the graph looks like, including two asymptotes, a horizontal and a vertical asymptote. So keep that in your mind as we're doing that. Identify the parameters. These are values in the expression that affect the graph. Right now we have just one, this -6. How does that -6 affect the graph? Well, we can think of it as -6 times 1 over x, and then we can see how that would multiply -6 times each y value. We suggest plotting the center of the hyperbola first. The center normally is at the origin, okay? The -6 has no effect on the center as a multiplication, so the center will be at the origin, and points will be plotted relative to that center. We also need to draw the horizontal and vertical asymptotes through the center. They're perpendicular at that point. So the line y equals 0, or the x-axis, and the line x equals 0, or the y-axis, are the two asymptotes for this equation. Now we'll do the reciprocal dance with respect to the center. Normally it's right 1, up 1. But in this case, it's going to be right 1, down 6, because we're multiplying -6 times that +1 and getting -6. So right 1, down 6. Normally it's right 2, up 1/2. Those are reciprocals, 2 and 1/2. In this case, it'll be right 2, down 3. -6 times 1/2 is -3. Normally right 1/2, up 2. In this case, it'll be right 1/2, down 12, because -6 times 2 will be -12. On the other side, left 1, down 1 normally. This time it'll be left 1, left 1, up 6, because -6 times -1 will be +6. Normally left 2, down 1/2 will become left 2, up 3. -6 times -1/2 is +3. And left 1/2, down 2 becomes left 1/2, up 12. Because -6 times -2 is +12. Also notice that this equation is equivalent to x times y equals -6 if we multiply both sides of this equation by x. And that means that there are other ordered pairs that such that their product is -6 will also be on the graph. And so one of those ordered pairs would be -6, 1. -6 times 1 is -6. And another one would be +6, -1. Others would be like 3, -2, -2, 3, and so on. But I think we have enough points that we can now go ahead and connect those into two branches of a hyperbola using the asymptotes as boundary lines. And so this is the graph of y equals -6 over x. Comparing it to the parent function, you can see they're in opposite quadrants because of the negative sign. Second way is using a table. Here's a table of 6 values on our normal parent function, the reciprocal function. The -6 affects only the y values, so that we can multiply each y value by -6, but we're keeping the x values the same because that -6 only applies to the y's. So take the y, 1/2 times -6 is -3. So we'll plot 2, -3. 1 times -6, -6, 1, -6. So we're going to ask you to go ahead and find the other 4 points, plot them, finish the graph, press pause to do that, and resume when you're ready. Two times -6 is -12, plotting 1/2, -12. -2 times -6 is +12, so that's -1/2 up to 12. and finishing those points there. Press pause if you need to see these. Again, notice again that this equation is equivalent to x times y equals -6, so we need other ordered pairs such that the product of those x and y coordinates is -6, and so we're going to use -6, 1 and 6, -1, though there are several others that would work as well. Draw the asymptotes. The boundary lines are going to be the x and y axis, and connect the points into two branches of a hyperbola. We compare it to the parent function that's in the first and third, and our graph is in the second and fourth because of that negative sign. Now you try one. Graph y equals 8 divided by x, or 8 over x. Use either method or both for the practice. Press pause to do this and then resume when you're finished to check your answer. And here's your answer in green, and notice that it is equivalent to the product of the coordinates is 8.